we still got a little time left in May, and considering it's the month designated for all things Star Wars, I think I'd like to do a video on some Star Wars toys this month, because I've never really talked about that, and even though, like, apparently Star Wars isn't something you guys want to see me talk about a whole lot, Star Wars is a pretty important property for the toy industry, because it basically kickstarted the modern era of property-based toy lines that we're in now, where, like, most successful toy lines are based on some kind of TV show, movie, comic book, something that you can draw back to. It's about getting a representation of this character or this thing you like, rather than just being a cool toy first and foremost. And I would do, like, just a look at a new release of something I picked up recently that I really like. But honestly, for Star Wars, that does feel like a bit of a disservice, because the world of Star Wars toys is so vast and all over the place that really I could talk for hours and hours about the history of Star Wars toys, but I won't. I'm going to keep it to kind of a general overview of the two lines I'm collecting at the moment. And on the off chance you aren't already following me on Twitter or Instagram, where I post my toy photography at the Vacuuminator and at the _Vacuuminator respectively, by the way, the lines I was referring to there are Hasbro's The Black Series lineup of 6-inch action figures and Jazzwares' Micro Galaxy Squadron line of micro-scaled vehicles. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the Black Series, because it's been around way longer, and if I remember correctly, it was actually announced at about the same time Disney bought Lucasfilm, and was similarly polarizing, because a lot of folks were like, oh hey, 6-inch Star Wars, I've been wanting that to go with stuff like Marvel Legends and DC Universe Classics for years, this is great. But people who had already been collecting the long-spanning history of 3 and 3/4-inch scaled Star Wars figures were like, I guess that's neat, but does this mean Hasbro's not gonna do 3 and 3/4-inch anymore? What's going on? And eventually, Hasbro did incorporate a 3 and 3/4-inch subset of Black Series figures to appeal to that collector base, and even more eventually, it got spun off into its own line, which is called the Vintage Collection now, and that all looks very nice, but I don't have any of them, because, well, I did have a few 3 and 3/4-inch Revenge of the Sith figures as a kid. I was much more into Lego Star Wars, because I liked the fact that you could do lightsaber dismemberments without actually breaking your toys. However, I've kind of fallen out of love with Lego and most toys, where half the fun is you put it together yourself as an adult, just because I'm a busy guy. I don't want to spend a whole night putting together my toy. I want to just get the toy I want in a box, open that box, and start messing around with it right away. I didn't actually get into Black Series right away, though, because I just wasn't sure how it was going to go or how long it was going to last. I waited around for a couple of years during the time of the sequels, but eventually, when I got on my next big Star Wars kick with The Mandalorian Season 2, I went a little crazy with this line and tried to get pretty much everyone I wanted that had been made from the prequel cast, the original trilogy cast, and the Mandalorian cast, and amassed quite a collection very quickly before kind of purging it down to just some favorites during the big computer purge last year. And honestly, I really do like this line. It's pretty much everything I'd want from a modern line, despite issues like delays between characters appearing on screen and in plastic, and a lot of really unnecessary sublines, and probably the most awkward fan streams of any Hasbro brand. Greetings, Lucasfilm fans. We hope you are excited for this new Star Wars product based on the classic entertainment product Empire Strikes Back. You can pre-order this product on Hasbro Pulse today. Because even with that weirdness, when you finally get the figure of the character in the look that you've wanted for so long, it's really nice. Like, the sculpts are on point, all the detail you want is usually painted, and the likenesses are really good. Post-face printing. My only real personal problem with the line is the accessory department, because most of the characters kind of just come with the stuff they absolutely need. Like, yeah, Han has his gun, and if you get the SDC release, he has like a breathing mask and an alternate pointing hand, but for the standard release, this is it. This is what you get, and like, it's good, but I like one or two more incidental things from the movie, and the fact that like this is how most of the characters come out does leave you a bit wanting for like a $20, now $25, $26 action figure. Especially when you compare it to like other Hasbro lines like Marvel Legends or G.I. Joe Classified series, which usually come with a ton of accessories. I mean, they do sometimes use deluxe packs or figures of smaller characters as a chance to pack in some extra accessories that you might be after in order to keep those smaller characters at the price point of the rest of the line, but like, dude, I don't want to buy my 5th Grogu just to get his space bassinet. That's kinda ridiculous. The way the line handles cloaks and capes can also be a bit annoying because they typically either go for like the most bland, lifeless soft goods imaginable, or they just make it a hunk of rubber, which is even worse and basically forces you to seek out a third-party option. And I don't really have like a suggestion on how to fix this, because it could be really easy to just say like, oh, Hasbro should just have the figures come with wired cloth capes since people are making them anyway and most collectors buy them to upgrade their figures, but like, there might be some child safety standards getting in the way because this is still a US retail line, and even if there isn't, I'm willing to bet the extra cost of the sewing and the wire itself would jack up the price another $5 or $10, and people are already kind of grouchy about recent price increases with this line, so not a good idea. But for my money, this is still a really good lineup of figures because, hey, I collect 6-inch highly articulated action figures, and this is the most affordable option. I could go import, but that's really expensive. I don't always have that money, and they don't have that breadth of characters that I want. You know, Black Series doesn't go as deep as the 3 3/4 inch line used to, but it still goes way deeper than you're going to get from any other line in this scale, and that's what makes me like it, that I can get my hardcore main characters in any look I want, but I can also get scrimblow bimblos like Ponda Baba. However, in a line of desk-scale vehicles, stuff like soft goods and accessories aren't really that much of a concern, because the figures basically are the accessories, and that's why I like Micro Galaxy Squadron. It fills a real niche for me as somebody who's always had ship design as one of his favorite aspects of Star Wars and has been routinely frustrated with the on-again, off-again nature of its inclusion in Black Series. I mean, we've had some smaller scale stuff from the original trilogy and the sequels, but if you're a prequel fan or you like larger scale ships, you're basically screwed because it's hard to do that stuff at 6-inch scale, and the only real option is HasLab, but this Hasbro team seems kind of inept at making that decision. They'd rather do mishandled beasts or roleplay toys nobody asked for than the obvious choice of giving us some of the cool, bigger prequel vehicles as HasLabs. Seriously, I'll back a $500 Republic gunship if y'all just go ahead and flippin' do it already. Oh wait, Microgalaxy Squadron already did in their second wave, and in the subsequent wave they put out like 5 alternate color schemes for it, and I ended up buying this one and 2 of those alternate ones. I have the Separatist Nightmare and the Munilist 10, and they all look great because all of the ships in this line look great. All the little details are sculpted in really well, the paint is fairly accurate, and it's got some of the nicest factory dry washing I have ever seen from a US retail toy. Like, this genuinely looks like custom work. It doesn't look machine applied. It's not quite as nice as I would like in a perfect world, but it's good enough for my standards. And above that, like, these are still really fun little vehicles to play with because they have plenty of different features like articulated turrets, opening cockpits, and other little fun bits and bells and whistles. Like, the biggest scale of ships have lights and sounds. And the Slave 1, or Jango Fett's starship if you're boring, actually has a gyroscope in it. So if you want to whoosh the ship around and pretend like it's flying, the figures are actually facing the right direction, but then when you're displaying it docked down on the ground, still got that. Still looks nice either way. It's really cool. Plus, sounds like you're cocking a gun. And on top of that, the actual micro figures that the vehicles come with are really impressive. There's a lot of detail in the sculpt and paint, more so than like Hasbro figures twice their size, and they've got a little bit of articulation, so the vehicles also end up kind of feeling like play sets, and it makes it so the more you buy from this line, the more fun there is to be had, which can't always be said. Sometimes lines, especially in the 6-inch highly articulated realm I live in, just kind of feel like every figure is its own kingdom, its own experience to be enjoyed, and I do like that for the most part. But this is pretty cool too. It takes me back to like the toyetic qualities of stuff that was around when I was a kid. The only real problem I have with the line is just the fact that it's got a bunch of very hunt-oriented aspects to it. Like, there's a line of blind boxes, and there's chases and rare variants in the line, and that stuff just really isn't for me. Like I said, I want to be able to buy the thing I like and just have it. I don't like spending hours driving from store to store to find it. That feels very old hat to me. With it being the modern internet age, I kind of feel like you should just be able to pre-order what you want wherever you prefer. But for some reason, most of the pre-orders for this line only crop up on Amazon, Target, and Walmart. And like, fair enough, those are the biggest retailers in the West, but like, what about Entertainment Earth? What about BBTS? What about Toy Source? These are all places this line should be, and it just isn't for some reason. But watching videos on this line, I do get the feeling I'm in the minority there. It seems like there's a lot of people who are still very into the hunt in the year of our Lord 2023, and you know what? Fine enough, to each his own. I'll just overpay on eBay for the chases I want, I guess. And ultimately, that is everything I have to say about both lines. If I were to do like a big clickbaity versus type thing, and one line had to come out on top, I guess I'd pick Black Series, because it does more so go with the rest of my collection. But like, I'm not actually going to do that. I'm still going to keep buying both lines as my budget allows, because I still like both lines, and for now at least, there's room for both of them on my shelves, just as like there's room in the toy market for all kinds of toy lines for Star Wars. This is barely scratching the surface. Like I said, there's Lego Star Wars, there's the 3 3/4-inch stuff, there's model kits, there's the 12-inch Hot Toys figures, there's role play. Really, anything you could want from a Star Wars toy nowadays, it probably exists or is on the way. And I feel like that's a really nice metaphor for Star Wars as a franchise. Again, as I discussed in my first Star Wars video this month, Star Wars is a big and vast franchise of all kinds of different types of takes on its material, and that means there's room for whatever you want to do and room for whatever kind of fan you are. So whether you're into super articulated 6-inch figures or micro scale little ships and stuff, or both, you can do that, just so long as you got the cash. And for now at least, I do. So until next time, this is the Vacuuminator reminding you that you never fail until you stop trying. And I guess I'm never going to stop trying to enjoy Star Wars, because there's too many toys out there that make it fun to do that. Until next time.